On November 2016, Cindy Reichel and Tom Butcher opened the Patchwerk store in Seattle Eastlake neighborhood, making a huge impact in the music scene with such a small space no bigger than a tiny apartment. I remember my first time walking into the shop was like being welcomed into a dear friend's home where you can play with any musical gizmo and gadget you like. No matter how many questions I bugged Tom with, he showed me the patience of a master modular wizard with only one goal, that is to bring as many curious minds as possible into the modular and synth industry. If we fast forward to 2021, Patchwerks has relocated to a large store and event space in Seattle's Fremont neighborhood, allowing Tom, Cindy, and team to expand into every facet, both locally and online for the world. All right, welcome, Tom
Thank you.
Butcher, Cindy Reichel. Welcome to the show. Thanks for having me in the store
Yeah, of course.
tonight.
Our pleasure.
Great to be here.
I'm glad you guys already had dinner. um, so I wanted to jump right in and ask you guys, especially hearing about how things have been going through COVID for you guys and kind of transitioning back into doing what you want to in your creative space. So outside of the beautiful creation that is Patchwerks, your baby, what's been going on with both of you musically? I'll start with you, Cindy.
Sure. So after lockdown, pretty much came to an end and people started going out again, it was definitely nice to see the community coming back out and organizing shows. And I personally started going out early last year, 2022. Took a few months to ramp up. I feel like at first people were a little hesitant to go to shows and to throw events. And for myself, I didn't start performing again until last summer. Really, I took some time and just gradually kind of got used to going, from not going out at all and being stuck at home during that period to having a schedule and a social calendar similar to what I had before the pandemic. So now I would say I'm going out pretty frequently. I'm performing more often and really enjoying doing that. And it's nice to see a lot of shows happening in Seattle. I also traveled last year to Berlin, which was actually my first time leaving Seattle since before the pandemic. So I just got on a plane and went to Berlin for a week and enjoyed that. And I think doing those things has really helped me, get back to feeling like things are a little bit more normal. So I think we're 90% of the way there at this point.
You're performing under just your full name, right?
I have two projects. So I perform ambient music under my full name, and I have a techno project called Expert System.
Right on. And then you guys collaborate together as well.
That's
so would that
correct.
make 3 projects?
Yes, for myself. Yeah.
Awesome. Right on. And that's all the way up to today. That's how things have been going for you. Right on.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's been good.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I'm thoroughly enjoying getting out there too, and wanted to thank you guys for actually putting on the introduction to Crosby Morgan as one of the people that you guys asked to come on and do one-on-one lessons with people for music production. That immediately just got me really excited to be outside and start hanging out with people again. And that was my first time engaging with the efforts that you guys make with the whole scene, and like that extra effort you take beyond just being a storefront or this big holy thing that people look at. So on to you, Mr. Butcher, Tom. What's
Sure.
been going on with you, my friend?
Yeah, I think for me, it's been harder to get back into the groove, honestly, the music groove than Cindy. During the lockdowns, I created a project for myself, which was just to record something every day, doesn't matter what it is. And it was a really fun thing to do. My goal was to record at least 1 minute of just anything. So it was really freeing. And I wound up, I think I did it for about 5 months. And I wound up with a giant library of, sounds, not really songs, but just kind of weird sounds. I used it as an opportunity to just explore synthesizers, do some sampling, use my voice a little bit. But after that, it's been kind of slow for me to, record my own music. I did complete some new songs. I do some pop work every once in a while, like synth pop kind of stuff, and I'm sitting on an EP for that. I kind of don't know what to do with it, but it's essentially done. And over, like when the shutdowns stopped, I was invited a couple of times to do live streams as Orchid, one of my projects. I played a couple of private parties. But it's really been few and far between. I'm finding that, at least for me, I need to regenerate some energy because I've just been feeling kind of run down. But I don't know, it's not because of a lack of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, certainly Patchwerks keeps me busy, keeps both of us quite busy. And Cindy, you have superhuman stamina sometimes where I'm like, okay, I had a full day of synthing at work. I'm ready for some books or TV and food and bed. But that said, yeah, I too have started to go out to some shows. I actually started my first show post, pandemic was, well, I guess we're still technically there, but the first show I went to that was in a theater with other people after so long was a comedy show. I was seeing Mark Maron at the Neptune Theater here.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, the seats were so close together. I mean, I'm a kind of a bigger guy, so to really be like, arm to arm with people, it was a bit different, but I survived. And ever since then, I've really been choosing my shows carefully just to kind of keep my energy. But I'm sitting on a lot of material for music, a lot of ideas. So yeah, I'm excited to get it out there. And thank you for what you said about Patchwerks and our community building. That's been part of what we do from day one. We did community investment before we had a storefront. We started with meetups and things like that. And when we talk about the mission of our company, it's not to sell synthesizers per se. It's to connect people with joy. So of course, having lessons, community events, workshops, places to meet people and network.
Yeah.
And that's a really big piece of what Patchwerks is, not just the gear.
Totally. That's beautiful. It's like you just wrote a speech. So when I first discovered you guys, I didn't know what to expect, but I definitely did not assume or predict that I would see effects pedals in the shop. I don't know how often the community tells you guys how cool that is and how that actually makes you very different. Not even just from a shop that is focusing on synthesizers, samplers, modular systems, but you even have stuff that some guitar stores don't have available. So since you guys have been doing that back to the very start, has the involvement of effects pedals had a heavy influence on your own creative process, and have you also observed this with the community's creative process as well?
Yeah, sure. I mean, speaking for myself, when I first was able to afford little keyboards here and there as a kid growing up, my brother had an electric guitar, and I thought, wow, distortion, that's pretty cool. So, I could get a $40 distortion pedal and smash some drum sounds. It sounded awesome, So at least for me, it's been just a part of what I do from day one. But really, Cindy and I stocked the store and we built the whole idea of Patchwerks around a place that we ourselves would have just loved to have years earlier, right? What does that vision look like? Where, where could we go meet people? What kind of things are in there? So I think, at least from my perspective, no, I haven't heard a lot of comments on pedals about that being unique about Patchwerks. It just really grew out of wanting to have the widest range of products and
Yeah.
creative tools that we can offer to people. And certainly, certainly people will say, "Oh gosh, you guys, you should think about Maris or whatever brand brings things to our attention." What you'll find with the pedal selection that we have is they are very well paired with synthesizers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're starting to do some more kind of preamps and compressor kind of things, more like guitarists are more familiar with. Um, and we can go into why if you want. But yeah, and for me, pedals are just super fun. I know Cindy, you use pedals as well.
Yeah, in fact, I use pedals, and I don't know of many synthesizer artists who don't have at least one effects pedal
Mm-hmm.
in their collection. So I
Yeah.
feel like there is a lot of crossover in those communities, and I think the pedal companies are recognizing that. So companies like Earthquaker, Strymon,
Mm-hmm.
they're really starting to cater to the synthesizer enthusiasts in their
Yeah.
marketing and their strategy. So, that's a good compliment. Like, those companies often reach out to us and say, "Hey, we really want to reach this crowd and market to this audience. So how can we work together to make that happen?" And I think it's a natural combination, you know.
Yeah. The pedal community is something that I started getting just very heavy into around 2019, 2018. Um, and I've noticed that no matter how famous the builders are, they're they will all give you the time of day, and they'll talk to you and figure out what they can do. And like you guys are saying, they pay attention. Maris too.
Mm-hmm.
Maris is huge. So I mean, Strymon looks like a couple of algorithm gods to a lot of people, but you can, I mean, anything that you do to use their tools, like it gets their attention immediately. So Maris has done like the rack,
The
the
five,
modular versions of some of their pedals, like the Hydra.
yeah, like the 500 series. Yep.
You guys,
Yeah, and that's pretty unique because the 500 series for Pro Audio, it's modular, yes, but it's different than what we do because those modules came from literally, the finest mixing consoles in the world. So
mm,
it's a bit of a different market, but I think it's really cool that Maris is offering those products in that format. Moog actually did too. A lot of people don't know that, but Moog did offer things like their low pass filter, their analog delay in the 500 series format.
mm-hmm,
So they're pretty hard to find now. And the advantage is you get balanced in and out. It's a more professional um, price too, actually. So the prices are kind of way up there. So yeah, I mean, pedals, we love modular here at Patchwerks. One of the reasons we created Patchwerks was that there was not a place in Seattle for people to go check out modular, and ironically, there were several brands of modular products being made right here. And in fact,
mm-hmm.
some of the meetups that we started grew out of this organization called the Mostly Modular Trade Association. It was a group of people who were synth designers, module designers, and they would host get-togethers at Shoreline Community College. And yeah, those guys decided to call it quits one day, and that was part of the impetus for us to pick up that torch, saying like, hey, there's this community out there. We enjoyed going to those events, and we want them back. So, but yeah, I think there is a similarity between like the joy of creativity in pedals as well, that exists also in modular.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not surprising to see some affinity there. Um, the complexities of using pedals in a modular or in a synthesizer setup
Yeah.
are not well known. I mean, of course, you can plug anything into anything else and see what it sounds like, and that's part of the joy and the fun. But synthesizers are line level, and then in modular, your levels are even hotter, right? So if you want to plug directly into a pedal, you need to know about gain staging to really maximize your signal to noise and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
you can just plug it in and see what it sounds like, and that's part of the fun.
Hell yeah. Even if you get your ears blasted out.
Yeah.
So, whose idea was it to bring pedals in addition to everything else into this picture.
Hmm.
I think both of us unanimously agreed.
That's just cool to me. I mean, I'm
think it
someone that's
was-
kind of outside looking in.
You're inside right now?
right?
Yeah, I like I like to do too many things, and I wanna just get my hands on every instrument possible in existence. And so like getting into your guys' world, I guess it was maybe just like a biased opinion or or assumption going into it, thinking like, oh, dude, this is rad that this exists here. I don't know if it would have been as common or normal if we went back to like, I don't know, 2016 or early 2000s. It was more like bigger stores or mom and pop shops still getting to go with pedal effects. But that again, that's so cool. I'm not gonna spin my tires too much on it, but I might be just one person with that opinion. I'm hoping that if someone listens to this or sees this, that it also awakens other feedback, gets people to engage with you guys even more and say like, this is so cool. Have you considered this or that? Like for me, I could sit down with you guys for multiple days and just dump tons of ideas on you for for pedals.
Yeah, well, so I think part of the affinity between modular and pedals, at least in my opinion, it has to do with a few factors kind of happening at the same time. One is sort of the DIY kind of go do it yourself. You want to you got an idea for a pedal or a module. It's the same thing. One person can go prototype something and throw it together, and it's low risk and low cost, and you can tinker, right? You can tinker and play and just see what sounds good, see what you like. So that ethos of just go do it exists both in modular and Euro-Rec modular, I mean, specifically here, and pedals. The other thing that, the other big factor, in my opinion, is the manufacturing processes. So, you were speaking about maybe in the earlier years noticing a difference. It's become really easy to do small numbered runs of printed circuit boards.
Yeah.
Like once you have a design, you can ship it off to a contract manufacturer and they can spin up a batch for you. And, that really brought the cost of bringing a product to market, a boutique product, way down. So you wouldn't see this proliferation of modular brands without those innovations in the manufacturing process. And I believe, pedals are similar.
Shout out to Breakfast Audio in New York. I was just listening to an interview with Dave. He does the majority of his inventory are PCBs he makes for people to just buy for like $10 a piece, and then go and build that circuit themselves. And then he'll of course, just like I think every DIY site we see, you'll have the builder try to source as much of those parts as possible to help the people build it. Definitely, what I would highly recommend to check him out. He's got some of the weirdest obscure stuff. So, what have each of you learned from the community since starting Patchwerks? And I know that's a pretty loaded question, so let me make this more specific. Over all the years since the beginning, what is the biggest lesson or just thing that you guys have learned from the start to today that's just stands out to you and is every morning you wake up and you're like, wow.
I can answer that. I have one specific lesson that I've learned that or thing that surprised me the most about our community and our customers, and that is that every piece of gear that we sell is a tool, like a hammer or a drill. And what's fascinating to me is that you can have the same modular system with the same modules in it, and you hand it to 3 different people, and they are going to patch that system in a completely unique way.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether we're talking about something larger scale, like the system behind us here, or even just a small skiff with a few modules in it, I love just taking a system like that, handing it to someone and seeing what they do with it. And we get to see that every day with the number of customers that come through the shop. They'll walk up to this system and they'll start working with it. And it fascinates me, the different types of music, the different types of sounds, and the completely different ways of thinking that people engage in when they're interacting with these instruments. Even though, even with a synth that's not a modular, system, people will perform on the instrument in entirely different ways, and how the brain processes those ideas is completely different from one person to the next. And I just find that a never-ending source of fascination, curiosity.
A real quick point I wanted to make off of that note of like how, like you're talking about how everyone's approach tends to be quite different. Something that I think you're probably already very proud of is that I think that you got what it seems is that the perspective is you guys do hire and maybe even train a staff to be very in tune and down to earth and listen to the creative type, or even someone that's very intimidated, doesn't know what they want to do. They're just curious. But you guys have that, your entire staff has this really good way to listen and kind of probe and navigate that creative process very well without fail. Like I've talked to every single person I've talked to here has never shown a different way of doing it. They're always like, you are my priority, and I want to make sure that you're happy. And it's okay if you want to walk out that door and not buy anything. Just want to make sure that you're confidently navigating this world, and that your curiosity is going to lead to something super exciting, and you're going to feel stoked about it. So thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's a really kind compliment. And, I guess on one hand, like we could say we don't really try that hard, but I don't think that's true, because we do, for the most part, we're hiring from people within the community anyway, right? And to build on what Cindy said, about what we've learned that's unique, or I think for me it's just how, and it's similar to what you say, Cindy. I've just been amazed at how many different kinds of people are out there and want to use this equipment or get inspired by it for whatever reason, and it really runs the gamut. It's like people who just want to have a system that makes cool sounds, and to get fascinated by. We have some professionals who shop at Patchwerks too, obviously, which is great. Some people are young and they're ambitious and they have something to say and they want to make music to release. Other people just want to play with their buddies, And one of our unofficial mottos is everyone is welcome. And, when we started the company, we felt very strongly that we don't want any gatekeeping to happening when you walk in the door here. It's like, and if you know everything about everything, that's great. Teach us, like I learn something every day when I'm on the floor about some piece of equipment or how people are using it. But we also, I'll speak for myself. I used to be like a teenager and I didn't know anything, and I desperately wanted to like play synthesizers and make the music that I loved, but I didn't have anywhere to go and I didn't have anywhere to talk to. And I was timid about it. And, of course there's the internet now, which is great, but there's something totally different about coming in the door, looking at this huge modular, and being like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start with that thing. But someone from our staff can come over and say, hey, I see you looking at the modular. Want me to show you a demo? You want me to show you how it works? And that's
Yeah.
literally what we do every day here. So it's awesome. That's what makes me feel good.
Yeah, that sounds so damn fun.
It is
What a great job.
the best.
Um, what was that? Was that a motto, or you said that was you want
Everyone is welcome. Yeah.
everyone is welcome.
Yep.
And that reminds me of you guys heard of Pauline Oliveros?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay, rest in peace. Beautiful mind.
Yeah.
I just there was a guy over in New York. Daniel. I'm sorry, I can't remember your full name. Talking to him about getting his film that he made about her out a lot to more locations. But
Is
this
that
story
Sisters with Transistors?
no,
Oh, it's another one?
it's the story of it's deep listening.
Okay.
The story of Pauline Oliveros,
Cool.
and I thought I knew a lot more about her and Stuart Dempster and the other very creative types they collaborated with. But once I saw that film, I know I'll get to my point, I promise. It just what you guys are saying about everyone's welcome just reminds me of the way that Pauline and her partner have always lived their life is trying to open the world to all people, to the world being a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's still a lot of people that don't understand that if they even like sing one time, like you're a musician to me. And whatever you do, like even your daily life you're living, you're making all kinds of sounds, and that's music to a lot of people. That's also why I started the show. I wanna focus on more things that are music to us all that may be very uncommon. But yeah, you guys echo a lot of that same kind of that beautiful attitude.
Well, it's so fun to share magic, like we
Mm-hmm.
think this stuff is magic, right?
It
And like
is.
the way the sounds can connect with you and, it's elemental, right? It's like these, like even basic sine waves, square waves, it's so elemental and so like deep, So, of course we want to share the magic because, it's contagious. It lights you up, so it's just what we love doing here.
Yeah, I think the internet and you guys creating these communities like others are, I think that the kind of impact that's huge. I mean, I have a lot of emphasis in the intro for you guys. Like, you're making a huge impact from a tiny place in the beginning. And even this place, like, this doesn't describe what you're achieving. I mean, it's so much more than what we're seeing physically in front of us or hearing. Where was I going with that?
Well, thank you for the compliments. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing to just work on the showroom floor here. Cindy and I have been spending more time working with customers and on the showroom floor, and we see evidence of that every week. Every other day, someone will come in and say, "Oh, I'm visiting from, out of town. I had to come by." So, it's really amazing. And of course, we don't do it ourselves. We've got great staff, including Matthew Picora, who does our videos. Ray Losi is our social media manager, and they do an awesome job spreading the word. And of course, all the great people that you see if you come in the door here. So if you call up, you'll talk to Thomas, on the telephone. He'll help you out. It's one of his superpowers is to be able to, like you were saying earlier, Cody, to listen to what people are saying they want to do and then work out, well, what do we have that can accomplish that for you? And sometimes it's not easy. I remember one gentleman was, I think he's a systems engineer, some, kind of engineer, and he wanted to do something very specific with a modular, having to do with using an envelope follower to adjust the shelf of an equalizer. And it took several weeks before we could diagram out and figure out exactly how are we going to do this. But we did. You know what? And he came back a couple of weeks later with a few videos on his phone and said, "Hey, check this out. I did it." That's amazing.
Yeah, when you
Yeah, I
crack
love that.
that, I just realized what I was derailing off to say is that um, I mean, you were mentioning that you guys do make an effort to listen to people and have a better attitude, and it does. You got to give that so much credit because it does take a lot of work to be able to do that. As whether you're a product manager at any facet, like your staff on the floor are doing that. They're acting as product managers. They're understanding what is your problem, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the user doesn't know what their issue is, and you need a professional to sometimes navigate and find what that is. So what I was getting at was that like a lot of people can be very elitist in the industry, whether they're an influencer, they've got their own shop, they're a builder. Uh, Gone are the days of being an asshole in a storefront, um, because the internet and the communities that we have here, whether it's for guitars or synthesizers, um, it's so strong that if you're an ass, you're gonna get called out, and that's gonna get stamped out quicker. And those who, like yourselves, that make so much effort to go above and beyond, is just going to continue to bloom and flourish and become way more successful. And I think we have our communities and the speed of the way information is now communicated to thank for that, where it's like that's why I mean that's why I when I was listening to what is it, esoteric modulation. It's man, I can't remember. It was a podcast show that was talking about you guys at a level of like international fame.
Really?
Like,
There was a podcast.
yeah, it's a man. It was one of the guys was can't remember their name. I know I'll pull it up soon, but yeah, I mean, there's so it doesn't stop there. There are a lot of people
Huh.
that praise you guys
Wow.
beyond just this city or the greater Seattle area. Like you have this like reach and impact that goes around the world. It's like how we have KEXP.
Mm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like that radio station is so huge that it's like it's now a part of us being a sister city with Reykjavik, Iceland, and and then that they expand out to all these performances of international performances and bring
Yeah.
people in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can talk a little bit about that because it wasn't too long ago that Patchwerks was just a bedroom, in a tiny little
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Very
rundown
local.
shack that has a sordid history of a building. Here we are at 3107 East Lake Avenue East, former home to Patchwerks. This is the little place where we started our business. And we've been in the building about 3 years. I'm sorry, 5 years? What am I saying? When we started, we weren't in this room at all, nor did we use this kitchen room. Still a few little things to move out here. But this room is where we had our events. We had many a workshop right here, sometimes in the sweltering summer sun. So all you see there is garbage. That's really attractive. This room we eventually used for our boxes. And as an e-commerce business, we consumed a lot of boxes. But stock wound up in this room too. We originally thought we would use it for lessons, but we did not. The main stock room was here. Pretty cool purple carpet. And I must have known the carpet was purple, but this room was chock full of so many things for so long. I forgot all about that. So, the office where we ran Patchwerks was in here. It's crazy to see such an empty room. But we had a sofa here, 2 desks. That's where Nick may have talk to you through the window. We had another desk here where I worked, Cindy worked, Ray worked, and one of our newer team members worked here, Drew. And then, so let's go back to what was the original Patchwerks, which is back here. Originally, you would come through this door to enter Patchwerks, and this was a little lounge area. We had the same sofa here and a counter there with a little TV. And then the main showroom at Patchwerks 1.0 was this room. At the time, it was the nicest room that we had out of these three. So this is room 2. The previous room was room 1. And then the third room we had for Patchwerks 1.0 was in here. Kind of a long, strange room. So this was our first office where Cindy and Antonio used to work. And then when we first opened, again, this was the main showroom, and then we had this little lounge room, and that was it. But luckily, we grew, and we eventually took the whole floor. And over time, the whole floor was simply not enough. So this is the last of East Lake, and we're opening in Stone Way in 2 days in Seattle's Wallingford neighborhood, and it'll be very exciting. But we'll miss you, East Lake. Goodbye. And you know, Cindy and I used the opportunity of COVID. I mean, of course, COVID's horrible for all kinds of reasons, but there was opportunity there for us to take, all of a sudden we couldn't have our events. We couldn't do our in-person events. We couldn't do our barbecues on the patio, and we couldn't see each other. So all that activity moved online. There's a local production company here in Seattle called Basement State, who are friends of us, and they began by literally streaming to each other in their basement. It wasn't like show the world the music yet. It was like, hey, it's Friday night, I'm bored, I'm gonna start streaming to my 5 friends. And then, it grew into something much, much bigger than that. For the Patchwerk side, we were able to pivot very quickly from having 95+% of our business walk through the front door to 75% of it being online. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's great to hear that we have that reach, and it was deliberate to be able to open up this community to other countries, other places, other regions. Of course, we've got our hearts in Seattle, but there are a lot of great people out there that we can connect with and bring in, and we're glad they're, part of it too.
And it is a global community, so we're happy to be a part of that. And a lot of the companies whose products we sell are small companies located all over the world. So we're really happy to be able to bring those products to our customers, both local and, anyone ordering online. So it really is a global community. So we're very happy to be a part of that.
It's Ed Ball.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Esoteric modulation.
Yep.
Him and another guy.
I've heard that before.
Kid. Oh, bad. He's such a nice guy. I can't remember what he goes by, like a different alias. So Ed is the main host to it, and what was so great about that show they've been offline for probably a couple of years, just dealing with personal things, but the way that Ed speaks about you guys is poetic and romantic.
Wow, thank you so much, Ed.
Yeah.
You should go just go listen to the episodes they have. Like, you only have to hear the beginning when they're just talking about like what's going on with them musically. Each of them kind of shares what they've been playing around with, and they drop your guys' name all the time.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm so glad that it's such a beautiful thing that you guys have soaked in as this lesson, or just this thing that is really this impression that has hit you guys pretty hard since the start. What's new for Patchwerks in store since the big move from Eastlake, that most don't know about?
Cindy, I think that one's yours.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that there have been this space gives us a lot of opportunities that we didn't have in our other space, and so of course there was a little bit of time that we took to settle into the larger space. We had to hire more staff. We had to build out more of the showroom, and that did take some time. Now that's, it's never a job that's complete, but, we have the showroom looking, we're pretty happy with how it looks at this stage. It's been time the last few months for us to move forward and look at what else we can use this space for. And we're really fortunate to have a room in the back that we can have events in. And when we moved in, the room was divided into two small rooms by a wall with a door in the middle. So we could have maybe a dozen people, present for a workshop or an event. And what we've done in just the last couple months is we've actually knocked the wall out between the two halves of that event space and had them finish it out. And it looks fantastic. And we're really happy now to have a room that's big enough to probably hold about 50 people. And that's a real game changer. And most people haven't seen it yet because we only started doing events 2 weeks ago in that room. And we've only had a couple of workshops, but we're going to be having plenty more events. We're going to have a lot of guest speakers, a lot of performances. We're already doing an in-store once a month performance series on one Saturday afternoon a month. That's been really, really popular. And we can't wait to have more of those types of events in this new event space. So that's something that we're just unveiling now that's pretty new that I think a lot of people aren't aware of yet. But we're really happy to have that because it allows us to really bring people in for those community events that are so important to us.
And it's not this smaller space, right? It's something upstairs.
It's in the back corner here. So yeah, behind that.
You
counter.
took a wall down.
Yeah, I don't
there?
know if you've seen it since.
It just looked,
Because when we had the workshop with Crosby, we had not knocked the wall out yet.
Yeah, that's the last time I saw
So
it.
that was the smaller version of the room. that you
Okay,
saw.
cool.
We'll have a look in there later.
Red.
Yep.
Speaking of awesome events that you guys are doing, I really wanted to talk about Velocity Trade Show. The Velocity Trade Show seminars, workshops, and the performances that have happened. So I think you guys have had one or two of those events. Is it just one?
Velocity, we've had two but we have had other trade shows over the years. We used to do them maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Velocity was the one that I was really
Velocity
bummed
was
about.
the biggest because it also incorporated performances and workshops as well as the trade show. So trade show is a bit of a misnomer. Our old meetups used to have a trade show component. So some of the tables would be companies represented, but then we would also just invite our community to bring whatever gear they wanted to show and tell. Bring it all down, have a table, and set it up and share what you put together with other people. And so it was a mix of commercial representation and community representation by individuals. So we did a bunch of those events. We would rent out, a good sized venue for those and just have an afternoon of, just sharing and maybe we'd have a guest speaker. There'd be some raffle prizes. I mean, it was just a good time, And that was really how we built up in the early days, built up a following and built up a community around Patchwerks was by having these meetups. And then Velocity was the logical next step where we made it a little bigger. We brought on collaborators, and we, made a bigger go at having an event that included some really big headliner performances in the evening, and workshops and panel discussions, and more of a conference type of atmosphere, I guess, in the day, with the performances at night. So
there was so there's a 2021 and a 2022 Velocity?
2019 was the first year,
Oh, okay.
and then we took a break for a couple of years.
Okay.
Because of COVID, and then
Damn
came back
COVID.
and did 2022 last year at Substation, and
Yeah.
with 3 rooms at Substation going all day and well into the night.
That's what I love about Substation. I've seen a few different events there. I'm bummed that I missed the last Velocity though. That's when I knew I was aware of it. I wanted to bring my daughter there. She's just a little 4-year-old, very musically curious.
That's great.
So I can't wait for the next one. I can't imagine that it hasn't been well received. Are you guys gonna do it again using Substation, or is it gonna be here?
This venue here is way too small.
Yeah.
We had several hundred people. We sold out Substation last
Yeah.
time. So I think the plan is to maybe try to do one next year or the year after, or some event similar in scale to that. I mean, it takes a lot of planning and resources to make an event of that scale happen. And because of the programs that we're introducing here within, under this roof this year, we've decided to focus on those programs, getting them, up and running and established with the staff that we have. But we really do want to have another big outside event like that. It may be maybe next year. We're not sure exactly when yet, but it's definitely something we want to pursue in the future. It's just, it's a pretty big endeavor. So we want to make sure I think what would happen is it would need to be bigger, is what the conclusion was after the last event. We sold out. Maybe it's 2 days instead of 1 day, or maybe it's multiple venues in a neighborhood that we have different, activities going on and through the day and the evening. So I think that scaling it up a little bit, there's definitely enough demand to warrant that. But then you have to have the resources available to really go 110%, for several months of the year to make an event like that happen. So
That's quite an achievement to sell out that space. I mean, it's a lot of room.
Yeah, and it was all volunteer run. The entire event was volunteer.
Wow. Did you guys also use outside, the outdoors?
No, we had the patio. They have a kind of a little enclosed patio area that is a nice place to go get some fresh air, but we didn't have any outdoor part of the venue.
I can't remember. I don't recall if there is any I don't know, King County laws or anything preventing it, but I remember that there have been events using all of the space plus doing some mini stages outside.
Wow.
And closing down the block.
Yeah,
So I don't
Freak
know
Out
if they have
Fest
that
did that
option.
in Ballard. They closed the whole block of Ballard and had an outdoor stage for that. That was actually worked out really well. I did attend that, and I thought it was great. Something like that would be really interesting to try at Substation. You're really dependent on the weather. Of course, that being Seattle, that's never a guarantee, no matter what time of year it is. So you have to be careful about making sure you've got tents and, at least for the stage area. But that would be an interesting option to consider, like a partially outdoor event like that would be pretty cool.
I don't think you can go wrong with the second half of July, maybe into August.
That would be about the only time. The last 2 weeks of July. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, and to be clear, we partner with Modular Seattle to produce Velocity, and it like Cindy said, it takes a lot of resources to produce an event like that. In 2019, we closed the store. We closed the store to do Velocity, and we're at the point now where we really can't interrupt our operations in order to do that. So, and you know, a lot of people from our staff were either performing or volunteering. So it was probably one of the hardest things that Patchwerks, a company, has ever done to, you know, have a great fully, you know, amazing event like a Velocity and keep our operations running here at the store. So shout out to Nick Bigelow, our director of operations. He was you know, he was amazing. He is amazing. If you call up and want to talk about modular, he's your guy. He's, you know, got the deepest knowledge. But so, you know, that his dedication to making Velocity happen, one of, you know, many as a volunteer, just shows you how much we are passionate about, you know, this world. You know, volunteer means you're not getting paid, and it is a lot of work
Yeah.
to do something like that. So anybody who's volunteered at Velocity or one of our other events, thank you. Would not happen without you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Have you guys done anything with Decibel Fest?
I attended. Well, so we attended.
Yeah,
almost every
I
year.
played the first Decibel, and Patchwerks never did because Decibel ended before Patchwerks began.
Oh, it did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
the
slightly.
overlap.
And yeah, I mean, it's regretful that Decibel isn't here anymore. I enjoyed myself quite a bit, and I was invited to be on a panel once or twice, but yeah, that was about it.
Yeah,
It was amazing. I mean,
it was.
the scale of Decibel was even bigger than Velocity, so
Yeah.
I can understand how the promoter might feel like, okay.
That's so sad. I didn't even know. Like, you guys just reminded me of like how magical it seemed to have been able to go to that.
I miss
It
it.
really was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss it too.
Yeah.
I mean, so many great artists would come in. They had a great, you know, great set of people curating the showcases. And also, I mean, similar to Velocity, but in a much larger scale, in that people were traveling from all over to come to Decibel, come to Seattle and see,
Yeah.
you know, all these great artists. And of course, part of the impetus of Decibel was also to expose that audience to our local talent here in Seattle.
Yeah.
So it was just really great, and yeah, I miss it.
Do you guys know the promoter or
Sean
the?
Horton, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. He's moved to kind of
He's moved on.
California
Yeah.
now, so he's no longer in Seattle, unfortunately. But
Sean,
did a
come back
wonderful
and
job.
collaborate.
yeah, he's a superstar for sure.
Rad. Well, I bet most people have been like really excited for what you guys are doing with the Patchwerks Academy core class. I see that you're calling it Synthesis and Electronic Music Production 101. And your one-on-one music production courses offered through local through locals like local talent, like Crosby Morgan. How's that been going? You know, for the whole academy effort and class series.
It's been great so far. I mean, I feel like we're really just getting things off the ground in the last few months, but we've had now, we've completed 2 full sessions of our group class, and we have a third session that's now full starting this coming Sunday. So that class is a 4-week long class where you attend 3 hours per session. So it would be a total of 12 hours of instruction. And that covers, you know, a really solid intro to a lot of concepts that will allow you to get a foot in the door and get off the ground producing electronic music. So, you know, it covers basic synthesis with hardware. We use the Moog Mavis as a demo instrument to learn on. The Mavis is patchable, so it's got patch points. You can learn a little bit of modular concepts and practice patching. We also then, you know, switch gears and move over to a little bit of an intro to Ableton Live, learn how to make a beat in Ableton, how to record your instruments, and how to put together a composition. So all of that gets covered in the 4-week class.
Cool.
So every class we've had has been full so far, and the demand is pretty high for that type of
I know.
education and that format. And our teachers are amazing. We're lucky to have, several really, really talented and passionate teachers that are helping us with that class and are also helping us develop some Eurorack modular specific courses. So we have in development right now an intro to Eurorack and an advanced topics in Eurorack course that we're going to be offering later this year. So we're excited about that. In conjunction with the group classes, we also have a private lesson room where we have, Crosby, Hector Rodriguez, and some of our staff teaching right now.
Cool.
So we have the opportunity for students to decide, would they prefer with their learning style to learn in a group class environment, or would they rather have private lessons? A lot of people buy gear from us and then they want a private lesson to learn how to use that particular piece of gear that they purchased. So maybe they're, not as interested in getting the general overview, but they just want to come in for a few lessons to learn how to use a Octatrack or, how to use a particular synth they bought. And so I think the lesson program is really ideal for those situations. And, we have a good pool of teachers with a variety of skill sets that are complementary that, we can hopefully match the student with an appropriate teacher and get them on their way. So
Who are the instructors for the group classes?
So for right now we actually have a different instructor for each of the 4 classes usually.
Okay.
So Jason Diegelman is one of our instructors. Connie Fu, who works here, is not only one of the instructors, but also is the main organizer and coordinator for the class.
Yes, thank you, Connie, for
Connie's
helping me.
amazing. We have Matt Picora, who's also one of our staff, who works on a lot of our video content and is an incredible teacher himself. He teaches that class as well. And then Tim Held, who does Modular Modcast. We're in the works developing a course and can't wait to have him join our crew as a teacher shortly. So, and then for private lessons, we have Andy Reichel, Hector Rodriguez, and Crosby Morgan right now as instructors, as well as some of our own staff who are, able to teach private lessons as well. So
Andy Reichel.
Yeah, that would be my husband, Andy.
All right. not just a coincidence, it's another Reichel.
AKA Gelsol. Yeah.
I was just thinking about how Ableton does student discounts to their software. Are students able to get those discounts through doing your course?
We are working with some of the different companies to help coordinate those discounts. It's on a case by case basis right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely good opportunities. For a lot of educational discounts to get passed on to the students. So, I think that's something that will develop over time too as the program grows. So
there's have you guys heard of the Push Bible?
I don't think so.
No.
I can't remember the guy's name, but it's an entire Ableton Push course.
Nice.
And if you do his course, he has an arrangement with Ableton to be able to get the student cost refunded, or the difference to be refunded. I can't imagine how many people that would help, including myself. Jeez, it costs so much.
This is a great idea.
Yeah, we're in touch with Ableton. We're not Ableton dealers right now. We're working on that, and hopefully sometime in the future we can be. But we're in touch with them, and we can connect our students who are enrolled in either private lessons or in the group class with Ableton to, go negotiate a educational discount. Yeah.
Cool. Good on you, Ableton.
Yeah, but Ableton's really great. Also want to shout out to Dennis DeSantis from Ableton and his book. I'm blanking on the name, but it's like it's like the Zen of creativity, really. Go look him up. It's Dennis DeSantis. And Ableton also has produced a great tutorial for electronic music that you can run in a web browser. So they're really big on education, just like we are.
Yeah, I'm not surprised after seeing what like the guy that does Push Bible. He was just he's just always been a huge fan of the Push platform,
Mm.
and he got so good at it that they were like, "Hey, do you want to teach other people what you're how good you are at this thing?" He's like, "Hell yeah, okay."
That's great.
And it helps him have a business, and it gives them more business. Everyone's happy. Highly recommend to check that out. Um, I am a student in it, and I love. I don't know if I could confidently really approach the Push 2 platform, or I think soon to be Push 3, without that guy's instruction. Like it's just it's a really cool platform. Do you guys sell that here?
No, we're not Ableton
No.
dealers, like I
Oh,
said,
so
but
the hardware you wouldn't.
yeah,
I
I
have a
mean,
push too, but we
we'd
don't
love
sell
to.
them.
I mean, we do occasionally get consigned or used push in here, but
Okay,
we're not able to sell the new ones yet.
sorry, that's a noob question. I've never had a store.
No, it's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the popularity of Ableton, it takes a team to be able to service a lot of dealers, So yeah, I mean, like we say, we're good friends with Ableton, our friends there, and hopefully we'll be able to do that in the future. Stay tuned.
Right on. Before we wrap things up and move on to a very exciting and personal performance by you guys in store here, I wanted to ask if each of you have anything else that you want to talk about, shout out about the shop or yourselves, anything you like for the people on all these
And
cameras
all the cameras,
and
well,
all these
and all the
microphones.
mics. I can start by saying, if you're listening to this podcast, you're listening to Cody or any of the other great podcasters out there talking about music stuff, and you feel like, gosh, I want to get involved, but I don't know how. It's so easy. All you do is you reach out, you send an email, you get in touch on your social channels. It is so easy. Don't hesitate to do that. Call us, write support at patchwerks.com. Let us help you get connected. Let us help you, you know, learn more or figure out what you need. I'll also say that, electronic music, it's electronics, and, some people are daunted by budget, but you shouldn't be, because there's something out there at a price point for everybody right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, I like to say it's the golden age right now of electronic music instruments. So that's my message. If you want to get involved, you can. Just do it. Just, reach out. We're here for you. I'm sure Cody's here for you. And don't hesitate.
Amen.
Yeah, I would agree with that and echo that feeling. And I do want to give a big shout out to all the people in the Seattle community in particular who have worked since the pandemic to bring the community back.
Mm-hmm.
It has been so difficult compared to, how things were before when it was hard enough. There are so many challenges and pressures right now trying to be an event promoter, trying to be an artist in Seattle. And I see people working extra hard to put on shows, to get out there and perform, and to really support the community in whatever way that they can, whether people doing graphic design, making flyers, out there, making videos, recording events, and providing, volunteering at the door for an event. Like every hour that people put in is really valuable time. And I see people working together to try to keep things going in the face of really difficult economic circumstances for a lot of people in this community. So I just want to shout out and say thanks to everybody who's working really hard, evenings and weekends in their free time to make this happen, and create the beautiful thing that we have here in the city.
Hell yeah. And it's an honor to be here with you guys. Thank you so much. I hope that the impact you have and the message you guys have continues to that this just makes it echo so much more. So for everyone watching and listening, we are going to mosey on over to another space in the store and do a little bit of a gear walkthrough with you guys. Talk about your signal chain and the stuff that makes your noises and beep boops go, and then we can have the pleasure and honor of being able to hear you guys perform as a collaborative project called Dahliia. Am I saying that right?
That's right.
And you guys have not. It's been 4 years since you performed.
I think it's been 4 years since we've even played together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On
Okay,
this
so
project.
this
It's
is
been a while.
this is history.
Mhm.
This is Dahliia history, and it's Cindy and Tom history. It's Patchwerks history.
Yeah. I mean, we can say a little bit about the project. So, Dahlia, it's spelled like the flower, but with 2 I's. So, Dahliia. It's been a project that we've collaborated on for several years. I think the first performance was in 2018, and we perform in quadraphonic surround. So it came about, I believe, because our friend Casson invited us to support him on a show. I don't remember which moniker he was using. He records a Symbion project, but I think he was using a different moniker. Anyway, so Cindy and I prepared this music for that performance. We've performed it a couple of times. It's never been recorded, so we don't have any recordings anywhere. But yeah, what you'll see is it's all improvisation, really. Us playing on each other's glances and sounds. And I'll save the explanation for the other location over there. But it's just really fun to kind of break out of at least what I usually do in the studio. And that's why another thing, if I can, encourage everybody out there, if you haven't done it, try playing with someone else together.
Yeah.
Try that. It's amazing. Yeah.
I
So
agree.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Anything you want to say about our project?
For me, it was the first time I'd done anything in quadraphonic surround, and there were a lot of technical skills or details or tools I needed to learn. It was a good experience to I've always wanted to do that, to be able to localize sound in space, and we had a lot of fun experimenting with that. And playing at a place like Chapel here is one of my favorite venues to perform in. So, I would say there's, definitely going to be probably some opportunities for us in the future to do that again. We just haven't had a chance in a while. So, playing some of that material today will be a lot of fun, even though we're just not doing it quite in quad here in the shop. But,
Hell yeah.
it's a great, fun project to be involved in. And I do agree with what Tom said about performing with other people, playing with your friends. And, it's really one of the most fun parts of being a musician, right? It's collaboration. So,
yeah. And there's no commitment. It's like just jam.
yep.
It's like that's, I think more people need to just leave instruments scattered through their homes when they have guests over. Be like, yeah, you can touch that, just like you guys do here. It's like, let's just jam.
Yeah, jams do erupt in here from time to time.
Yep.
Sometimes before we open, sometimes while we're open, sometimes after. Yeah.
It's fun.
On into the night. Okay, cool. Well, I'm really excited. Thank you guys again very much.
Yeah.
I
Thanks, Cody.
can't show you enough appreciation for being able to do this and welcoming me here. And cool. Let's rock and roll. We'll move on over there and
Great.
go from there.
It's been
Sounds
a
good.
pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, so I essentially have 2 different sounds that I work with at a time on Dahliia. And we can go from my right to left. So what you see here on the table, first of all, the center of everything, of course, is a mixer. This Tascam mixer is really great, this Model 12, because it can record multi-track while we play. So this time we'll actually have a recording of it. So the first sound that I tend to use comes from this Juno. So this is a JU06 from Roland, boutique 4-voice synthesizer. Put the keyboard on it because I like to play keys. And with Orchid and Dahliia, I really like to use these floaty chords. Things like that I didn't hit the bad note on. And then that goes into this pedal here, which is a Korg SDD 3000 pedal. This is a really great delay pedal. It's got a bunch of different modes for delay type that you can see. I like to use it in this modern mode because if you turn these filters off, it'll just last forever and not decay, which is pretty awesome. So I'll raise up a nice chord and then, kind of mess with that. And then when I'm ready to kill it, I'll start introducing some of these filters to bring the sound back down. And then today I'm using this output from this SDD 3000 into the Mutron biphase reissue. So this is a 2-channel phase shifter, which sounds pretty awesome. Let's hear it. Get some decay or release on that. So I just love the way that sounds. Nice swooshy jet sound. Like that. Nice and beautiful. So I'll play this and I'll get floaty chords going with this. But the second sound that I use, the second voice, comes from this computer here. I use this Macintosh. So what I've got is a controller, this Akai controller, that's set up to play. Essentially, I'm just using the computer as a sampler. So we've got samples in here from a lot of different recordings, such as Lucia Micarelli's got some in here, Yanis Xenakis, some Stockhausen, Avro Part. And what I do is I just play samples from the keyboard. So for example, I'll just call up the first sound here on the first track. This is from a Lucia Micarelli record. And then I hit record there, and I'll just play the keyboard. So that sounds like this. And then of course I've got a foot pedal down here so I can keep the sustain going. And then that allows me to use my foot to keep the sound going, but maybe come over to the rest of this area and manipulate some sounds. So then, yeah, just to show you, here's another sound from the computer that I play. So I've sampled these, parts of records that I really like that fit what we're trying to do for Dahliia. And then using these sliders, I've got those mapped to different areas of Ableton, such as a delay. So that's what I've got here, and I've got a filter. I'll show you the filter first. So this is with filter all the way up. Then I can bring that filter down. Or I can put some resonance on the filter. So you can hear that nice resonance. And then over here, I've got just a delay line that I like to use. So that sounds like this. Right? There you have it.
Okay, I'm going to run through my setup that I'm using for tonight's Dahliia performance. I also use the same setup right now for more of a techno set that I'm working on at the moment. So it really is multi-purpose. It can be great for doing ambient music and also for more percussion-based tracks. So the mixer I'm using is really simple. It's a Yamaha MG10XU. It's got some built-in effects. If I want to choose to use those, I can. I do have an effects send going out to this Universal Audio Starlight delay pedal, which is a recent acquisition, new addition to the setup, and I'm really liking that. So I'll be making a lot of use of that because it really adds some nice color in addition to just being a really good functional delay. It really does add a nice tone to the sound. The heart of kind of the percussion section here is the analog rhythm from Electron, which I purchased a while ago and then never really went into and mastered and really learned how to use properly until fairly recently when I decided it was time to finally teach myself how to use it. And I always used a Roland TR8 drum machine for all of my live performances because it was so immediate and starting to, be swayed into the electron world at this point. I've always been more of a Roland drum machine type of person, but the analog rhythm is a really, really powerful drum machine, and I'm starting to realize why they're so popular now. So I'm really enjoying using it for this set. So most of I do play a lot by hand, and so I have a few different synths that I can, improvise with while I'm playing things live. So this is a Roland JU06A, which is from their boutique line and has a lot of, the Juno 60 really good and 106 vintage sounds on it. So I have right now an Arturia key step plugged in that I can use to, play that synth. And, with all these sliders, it's really gives you the ability to edit the sound on the fly in really creative ways. So that's just a really nice setup for playing melodies or bass lines live. And then in the middle here, I have a Novation circuit. This is an um, older, original circuit from a few years ago now, but I still love it. So the sounds are pretty basic, but it's got some built-in effects. So I can adjust the reverb and delay so that I'm using separate effects on that sound than the rest of my setup that's running through the Starlight if I choose to do that. It's got a nice filter. It's got percussion sounds if I want to use those. It's really just kind of a general good all-purpose instrument to have in your live setup if you're improvising a lot. This is a very special synth. It's the Roland SH09. Came out in 1980 and has a very unique sound compared to everything else on the table here. You can hear it right away because it's just got this very distinctive Roland vintage sound. I'm using this a lot in my performances right now. So yeah, just a really fun synth to play live with because all the controls are right in front of you. It's got some really cool features that make it really unique and 100% analog, of course. So yeah, no MIDI or anything. So when I sequence this, which I'm going to be doing in the second part of our performance, I have CV and gate out from the BeatStep Pro here, which I'm using to sequence this because there's no MIDI. The BeatStep Pro is really nice. It's got, because it's got a drum track and a couple of sequencer tracks, so I use it for both percussion and I also use it to sequence melodies, do our kind of, arpeggio type sequences. And it's got some really nice features, including the ability to adjust randomness and probability of each step. So that can give you some really good, options for introducing a little bit of variety and randomness into your performances. And it's really easy to use. So, you can turn steps on and off and mute and unmute things on the fly. And actually, sometimes I'll just start with a blank sequence on here during a performance and build it up as I'm playing, which is a lot of fun, even though that occasionally mistakes happen, but that's, part of the improvisational process, I suppose. So yeah, the final piece that I didn't mention is the good old Roland TB03, which is a boutique version of the 303. And, for my techno performances, I make good use of that as one does. So yeah, that's my current setup, and we'll get to hear it shortly.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on our latest episode. To like, follow, and subscribe to our audio and video podcast, check us out at scienceofsound.us, at Science of Sound on YouTube, and at Science of Sound Official on Instagram. You can also email me directly at cody.lane@scienceofsound.us. Get lost in the sound with us next time on
Science of Sound!